He had warned them once, quietly, calmly. With the same courteous restraint humans were famous for in the darkest corners of the galaxy. But when the swarm broke their promise, when they pushed past the last civilian line and carved through cities that had already surrendered, the galaxy finally understood the truth. Humans don't negotiate twice, and they don't hunt alone. The war had already swallowed half the Orion Verge by the time Commander Theron Vale arrived at the ruins of Crithis. He stepped out of the dropship and the ash under his boots whispered upward like ghosts. He didn't flinch. He didn't blink. He simply listened to the winds that carried the last memories of a lost world. Theron wasn't a soldier made for speeches. He wasn't bred to inspire. He was built to end things quickly, politely, efficiently. Behind him, the Allied forces waited in tense silence. The Velnari scouts, the Errol engineers, the Karvathi shield walkers. All three species had lost entire bloodlines in this war. They looked at Theron as if he was the last light in a dead universe. He walked forward, scanning the impact sites where the swarm had tunneled up from the crust. The holes still steamed. The swarm never left steam. Theron felt his pulse slow. Something worse had come through. He turned slightly, voice steady, almost gentle. "Prep long-range relay. We might not be alone out here." The wind changed. The soil trembled. Something deep below shifted its weight. Theron whispered the words every Allied soldier had learned to fear and trust at the same time. "They're listening." The ground cracked. Hundreds of needle-like legs pierced the surface. Clicking mandibles shimmered in the dust. The swarm rose in layered waves like a living tsunami, black and oily under the dying sun. Allied troops stepped back. Theron didn't. His visor lit with blue runes as his suit linked to orbital command. His voice stayed soft. "Strike authorization Vale pattern." Somewhere above, the AI locked onto his pulse signal. But before the human strike arrived, something else happened. Something no one expected. The swarm hesitated, not out of fear, out of recognition. They remembered him. Theron had been the one to infiltrate their primary hive 3 years earlier. The one who retrieved the genetic core of the stolen Velnari royal line. The one who killed their twin queens with nothing but a tactical blade and a borrowed radiation shield. In the swarm myth tunnels, he wasn't called human. He was the quiet predator. The ground hummed with their hatred. Theron softened his stance like a polite guest on hostile property. "Round 2, then," the swarm screamed, and hell arrived. Orbital fire blossomed down in straight white beams, carving craters in perfect geometric patterns. The swarm shattered under the purity of the Terran assault. But Theron had already moved on, sprinting toward a deeper tremor rising behind them. That tremor was not swarm. Something bigger approached. As the battlefield fell quiet, a strange hum rolled across the plain. Blue fractal symbols flickered in the air like floating ice. The Velnari High Scholar gasped. "That's an old core frequency, not swarm, not ours. Something pre-galactic." Theron crouched, touching the glowing soil. The pulse reacted to him. It followed the outline of his hand like a living diagram. A message, not to the galaxy, not to the Allies, to humans, specifically. The symbols twisted into a shape the Allied fleet instantly recognized. A Terran distress sigil not used in over 4 centuries. Someone ancient had called the humans, someone forgotten. Theron's heartbeat didn't change, but something in his eyes sharpened. "Swarm wasn't hunting us," he said quietly. "They were guarding this." The earth cracked open. A buried megastructure, smooth, crystalline, hauntingly beautiful, rose from the crust like a resurrected cathedral. Every allied soldier froze. Inside its shimmering walls were pods, thousands of them, suspended, silent, waiting. A lost species, extinct or nearly. The swarm had been trying to erase the last proof they ever existed, and the megastructure had called the one species that answers extinction-level cries without hesitation. Humans. The structure lit from within. A projection formed, tall, elegant, glowing with blue fractal lines. A memory, a preserved consciousness, the last historian of a civilization called the Arid Kale. They spoke in a voice layered with ages. If this message awakens, we are gone. Our enemy comes for the galaxy. You must choose, fight alone and perish, or stand with the species who burned our world. Theron stepped forward. The projection's bright eyes turned to him specifically. You are human, the echo whispered. Your ancestors made us a promise. All the allies stared at him. Theron blinked once. We did? The historian nodded. Your kind promised that if the swarm ever returned, humans would answer their call with the full weight of their hunters. Theron exhaled slowly. A distant memory from deep Terran archives flickered across his HUD. An old mission, a forgotten alliance, a human scout ship that once crashed here, and a promise carved into Arid Kale stone. One simple sentence. If you ever need us, call on the blue fire. We hunt politely, Theron whispered. So this is our debt. The projection flickered. The galaxy is not ready for what comes. But humans carry the fire we lost. The megastructure's power core surged like a star being born. The final message cut through. Run before the swarm's god arrives. The horizon split open, not metaphorically, literally. A gravitational tear bloomed across the sky, bending clouds like cloth. Inside the fracture, something titanic crawled forward, millions of linked limbs, each the size of mountain spires. The swarm's hive overmined, a continent-sized living throne surrounded by a halo of bio-forged ships. Allied sensors glitched. The Velnari screamed. Even the Carvathi stepped back. Theron didn't. He tapped his wrist plate. Open the red channel. The Terran fleet answered instantly. A single voice came through, calm and warm. Commander Vale. You sound busy. Theron's lips tilted faintly. Admiral, the swarm brought their parent. There was a brief, amused pause. Good. We brought ours. Space rippled. Then everything turned blue. Not from explosions, not from flames, from engines, human engines. Dozens of Terran hunter dreadnoughts emerged in formation, their silver-blue hulls reflecting the sunrise like polished steel. They filled the sky from horizon to horizon. The galaxy had asked humans for soldiers. Humans had sent something else. They're monsters. Theron whispered the standard phrase. Permission to engage, Admiral. Granted, the Terran voice replied warmly. Politely, please. What followed was less a battle and more a demonstration. Terran dreadnoughts moved like dancers, carving through bio-titan limbs with surgical precision. Every strike was measured, every hit clean. They didn't fight wildly. They fought with polite brutality, as if apologizing before each catastrophic blow. Allied soldiers watched in awe. The Velnari whisper cast across their network. Humans are beautiful. The Carvathi murmured. They are merciful demons. The Errol said nothing. They simply recorded, for history. Theron engaged on the ground, cutting down swarm elites with movements so efficient they felt unreal. He wasn't angry. He wasn't emotional. He was focused, respectful, deadly. When the Overmind finally staggered, its core exposed, Theron spoke softly into the calm. "Admiral, finish it." The Terran flagship fired one elegant blue-white beam. The Overmind evaporated into glittering ash. The war ended with a whisper. Weeks later, the Allied coalition stood on the rebuilt plains of Crethis, watching as Terran engineers restored the megastructure of the Ared Kyle. Theron stood alone on the ridge. The Velnari High Scholar approached. "You kept an ancient promise your people forgot." Theron didn't look away from the glowing structure. "We forget small things, not debts. What will humanity do now?" she asked. He folded his hands behind his back, posture calm, voice quiet. "Teach the galaxy why we don't warn twice." A soft breeze carried the blue fractal lights into the sky, rising like fireflies. And across the galactic data net, a new legend spread. When the Ared Kyle called the hunters, the humans answered with blue fire.